Today's video comes from my girlfriend. She came up with a video that actually isn't revolved around things she likes or rankings of my favorite things or anything like that. She said that I should talk about how I think that sports will be impacted or has been impacted by the lack of fans in stadiums. Specifically, I'll focus on football since it's the sport I'm most familiar with, but I do know from some of the studies that have been done throughout MLB and NBA and all that kind of stuff that for the most part it seems that fan attendance hasn't been a huge factor on the outcome of games as far as we've seen. There are some players that get more hyped and play hotter when there's fans kind of cheering them on. There isn't a lot to suggest that there has been a ton of impact due to like fans making a team play worse, like the opposing team play worse. But football might be different, and I'll get to that in a second. The main thing that kind of impacts home field advantage for a team has a lot to do with being familiar with facilities and being familiar with the area and being not having to worry about any kind of travel day of or travel in the days leading up to it, having your own practice field and your own personnel and staff all around you. All those things play a factor in kind of helping a player feel comfortable on game day. So I think when you talk about home field advantage for most players, those are the things that are most impactful to the players of the home team. But one thing that I think will be different for football as opposed to all the other sports that have reduced attendance due to COVID-19 is crowd noise. Specifically, there's been a lot of studies done in stadiums such as Seattle's stadium and even a little bit of Minnesota back when they had the Superdome. Superdome? I think it's called Superdome. The one that before it fell apart because of the snow. Those kind of stadiums and domes in general, actually, now that I'm mentioning it, that's something that's somewhat unique to football teams, I guess. Like NBA, sure, they plays in closed areas, but it's not a lot of like cheering in the same way that there is a football game. Baseball's open air, but has cheering. So when you talk about football teams and that crowd noise, the reason it's such an impactful thing is the plays are kind of called on the field as opposed to a sport like NBA where all the players are kind of made in the moment by the team, a lot of hand signals, things like that. Same thing with baseball. A lot of that's either done with hand signals or done with walking up to the person directly and talking to them about a play. With football, when it's kind of the quarterback hiking the ball and yelling the play over a huddle and making adjustments at the ball and all that kind of stuff, the crowd noise can play a huge factor. We've seen that very specifically. The one I'm thinking of is Seattle, when we've seen games in Seattle be picked up by the Richter scale monitors that they have in California and more specifically Washington, but it's so loud that it ranks as a low-level earthquake. So having that kind of impact on a game just by crowd noise is something that a team like Seattle that prides themselves on that kind of noise and disrupting gameplay because of noise is going to impact greatly. So overall, I would say yes, the lack of fans will make a difference for some teams. I don't think it's going to be as big a difference as a lot of people are thinking. But if there is one sport where it'll make the most difference, it would most likely be football because of things like crowd noise and also hype and motivation in the game. I think is a little bit different than other sports. Like for football, players just have a habit of getting streakier and kind of the hot hand approach in a lot of aspects of football is very common. It's just those kind of things are definitely boosted by crowd attendance. So it'll be an interesting thing to see in the season. With that being said, I'm going to wrap the video up here. As always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in tomorrow's episode.